Hey, welcome back to the Jack Sparrow channel. I am your host, Jack Sparrow, and right now we're going to be talking about what other people are talking about. Is there a controversy with the Captain Marvel opening? Now, I don't tend to give too much credence to conspiracy theories, but let's recap what has gone on with the Captain Marvel saga, if you will. Brie Larson made a fool of herself by saying a lot of ridiculous things, sexist and racist things. Yes, she earned a fair amount of criticism for these things. The movie has been marketed as being a somewhat feminist movie. Despite what she has said, it's toned down to a bit. However, what happened with the Rotten Tomatoes? Remember what happened to Rotten Tomatoes? They removed the ability to use the want to see function and eliminated that entirely website-wide based on the extreme backlash that they got. A whopping like 32% or something like that want to see rating. Move forward from that. The movie comes out and immediately gets just blasted by terrible reviews. Not so glowing reviews from critics, but you would read the reviews and you say that's not a good review, yet somehow you gave it a rotten or fresh rating. So it got blasted by bad reviews, right? They removed 54,000 of these reviews. And from what I understand, they removed reviews a couple times, aside from the 54,000 that myself and others have reported on. And what do you know? It's sitting at 63%. They artificially inflated the numbers to be 64%. 63%, excuse me. Now, what are we seeing now? We are seeing that the new reports, this has been reported on, no thank you, from others as well, that from Bounding Into Comics, and that the reports of empty theaters Captain Marvel add to movies controversy. And there are a slew of these reports from across not just the nation, but across the globe of, hey, my theater's empty. Hey, my theater's empty. My theater's half empty. The issue that we have here is, if this movie has been so protected, if this movie has been, propped up artificially with removal of valid or invalid, reviews, because what they like to call quote-unquote trolls, you're going to have some of those on both sides. You're going to have those who just leave a shillery type review that's unnecessarily glowing, and you're going to have a bunch of people who just leave bad reviews just to be jerks. And that happens for every movie, for everything that's out there. That happens. I get a video that gets a down thumb. Where they're coming from. I mean, it's okay. It happens. You can't please everybody, but for an impartial website to prop it up the way they have is quite unacceptable. Now, I'm not going to read this article because this article has been talked about. I'll leave the link in the description so you can read it yourself. I mainly wanted to use it as a backdrop to, kind of lead into this conversation. There is nothing to say that a large corporation would do anything like this. There's nothing to say that wouldn't happen. It just goes, if there are, for example, what this guy says here, we spoke with the movie theater manager, asked for anonymity. He told us they had exactly 25 no-shows for every showing of Captain Marvel on Thursday through Saturday. So, yeah, I mean, exactly 25 no-shows. So you get 25 people out of, You know, exactly that amount for every single showing. You know, so you buy 25 tickets per showing per, like, you know, theater. So if you got a theater that has 4 or 3 or no, let's say 2 or 3 screens, and you have 25 of those for 3 screens, that's 75 people that, quote unquote, just didn't show up, and 25 an exact number. The manager told us this was definitely abnormal. It's definitely not normal. People usually show up when they pay for tickets. I'm not sure what it is. We've seen big groups not show up before, but they get refunds. I asked whether or not these tickets were purchased in bulk, but that information isn't available. I'm not sure if they were bought all at once because Fandango doesn't give us that information. And look at this. Fandango doesn't give us this information. Oh, you mean, Fandango, guy Paul Yanover, the old Disney executive of 10 years that took over and, you know, had the job title created for him. Oh, that Fandango, the one that owns Rotten Tomatoes. Wow. Yeah, you know, it's hard. It's getting harder and harder not to believe in conspiracies when you have such a wicked web of lies. when you have so much corruption. So honestly, what would stop a giant corporation that can write off tickets as a taxable thing, write off buying tickets, you know, that it could be giveaways, blah, blah, blah. They could get 50% of the money back. What's to stop them from artificial prop? They did everything up to that point. There's been so much up to that point that has been pushing this movie, pushing it. Why would they not? What's to stop them? It's a simple question, and there's no really good answer. And I don't, like I said in the very beginning, I don't tend to prescribe to conspiracies. They're usually fun, like when people talk about flat Earth, or when people talk about lizard people. They're usually fun or funny, a little bit of humor. But when you're talking about a major company, and you're talking about the controversy that's been surrounding this Captain Marvel movie like the plague, it really leaves you wondering. It really does. And then, you know, on top of it, you got, you know, you do have articles like this from Red State say, don't be too impressed with Captain Marvel's opening weekend numbers. And he goes through and he kind of talks about how it ranks with the other ones. Again, I'll leave this in the description. But when you get down to the bottom, this is a very important thing, and it kind of ties in not from a monetary standpoint, but it ties in to the fact that, so he says, so the movie isn't doing too bad monetarily, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the movie is well liked. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score was an abysmal 31%, before Rotten Tomatoes intervened and deleted thousands of negative reviews in order to artificially boost the numbers. That the film is infamous isn't debatable. It's well detested, but infamy works as well as fame in terms of bringing in the dollars. The question is, when the dust settles, how will Captain Marvel be remembered? Will the action figures fly off the shelves? Doubtful. Will digital and DVD copies exist in every home? Doubtful. Or will it be a forgettable entry into the MCU that the fans will shrug off about in the same way they do Thor: The Dark World or Ant-Man and the Wasp? Yeah, probably. According to even professional critic reviews, that may very well be the case, as the movie is routinely described as a mediocre film with a boring lead. So how is a mediocre film with a boring lead with half-empty or empty theaters making that kind of money? Anyway, I just wanted to leave something for you to think about and chew upon this day. So, you know, leave me a comment about what you think about this, because I'm really curious what others think about this situation. It's less far-fetched the more time goes on about this. But you know, you just never know anymore. So anyway, like I said, leave me a comment if you like the video. Leave me a like, and definitely subscribe for some more content. And as always, as Jack saying, keep your eyes on the horizon.